club has taught Cathy many things about public speaking. To Cathy, Park City Toastmasters is not just about making speeches, but about making connections with her fellow club members and enjoying the laughter and camaraderie found within the club. Cathy's goal is to become a distinguished Toastmaster by 2016. That's a lot of work, 2016 from 2010. Cathy's speech today is from the Professional Speaker Manual, project number 5, the motivational speech. This speech is a redo of a speech she's already given to further its impact. The objectives of the speech are to understand the concept and nature of motivational speaking, persuade and inspire the audience by delivering a motivational speech which persuades the audience to commit to action. The time is 5 to 7 minutes, and let's all welcome Mademoiselle Cathy.
On Saturday, I celebrated my birthday. I do love birthdays because they're an accumulation of all the experiences I've had in my life. But I really have realized that it comes down to really 3 things that if I can just get a handle on these, that I will truly have even a brighter future years of my life. The 3 things that I've learned is aspire, inspire, but don't perspire. What do you aspire to do? I really want to become a distinguished Toastmaster. And I actually had a distinguished Toastmaster tell me one time that, well, it wasn't that big of an accomplishment. All I did was check off the boxes. Well, you know, there's an awful lot of boxes in becoming a distinguished Toastmaster. You have to give over 40 speeches. You have to mentor a club. You have to be a district officer. You have to be a club officer. You have to do a high-performance leadership. Each one of those, yes, they check off a box, but if you look at a year of being a district officer, that's not just some small thing. And I talked to this person, I said, well, I know you've done a number of parachute jumps in your life. And, you know, when you're packing your parachute, what do? You go through that checklist and make sure that every aspect of that parachute is folded properly. There's not kinks in it. Every piece is functioning properly, because if you don't, splat, you could be in a big mush at the bottom. So I say to you that just because it maybe seems like you're just checking off the boxes, really you can aspire to do anything that you want to do. It may look different from when you start to when it ends, but if you aspire to greatness, you can become great. When I first started in this club, Lynn Ware-Peak was here, several other people that were part of KPCW radio. And they had their own shows. And I thought, I wanted to do a storytelling show with my husband Dave for so long. We talked about it and think, how cool would that be? And finally we sat down and wrote a 3-page proposal to Larry Warren about doing that show. We were supposed to have 2 pilots in 6 weeks. Funny Larry, he doesn't realize you can't just produce a show that fast, or at least we can't. Finally came down to the wire, they said, you have to have your pilots done. But you know how technologically expert I am. At every level, we had just different things, and sometimes at one point we had already put over 100 hours into the pilot. But you know what? I aspired to it. I wanted it. And there was one night when I was at the studio, it was like, I swear, 1 in the morning, and we had technical difficulties, and we had to get this one thing done for the pilot. And I finally just went, you know what? They're just going to have to pry me out of this studio. I am never giving up on this. Even though at that moment, I just wanted to say, we can't do it. There's no way I can do it. But we did. And this last Sunday, it was my birthday bash show, and it was our 85th radio show. 85. When I started, I was happy to get my first 2 pilots done. But the aspiration to become that was really what got us there, and never giving up. We made a difference, and we make a difference every day. And one of the ways that we can also make a difference is to inspire. We have our goal. We have what we want to do. And we can inspire people along the way. I get inspiration every day that I come to Toastmasters. I don't ever want to miss it. Sure as I miss it, somebody walks out in a naked suit, or we have just some wild, funny thing happen, and I don't want to miss any one part of it. But you can also inspire people just as you are on the way. Just as a child needs a hug, maybe a coworker needs a time out for lunch. There's just even to encourage people to get your first speech done, to complete your competent communicator. There's so many different ways that we can inspire people, and it doesn't have to be some miraculous thing. It doesn't have to be some grand thing. That just by our actions, by our encouragement, we are able to inspire people. The third thing that I've really learned, being 61 years old, or young I should say, is just don't perspire. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to go out and ride my mountain bike in perspiration, but it's don't sweat the small things. Don't sweat the small things. Does it really matter that maybe the carpet didn't get clean today because I had to go do something else? Does it really matter that that night maybe there's dishes in the sink? Does it really matter in the long run of things that maybe you're a little behind in your paperwork, or a lot behind? The point being, our lives are a whirlwind of activity and a whirlwind of responsibilities and things to do and money to make. But if you don't sweat the small things, and make sure you don't pet the sweaty things either, that you can become so much more internalized and free because there's that much less worry in your life. So my challenge to you today is to aspire to that one goal that you really want to accomplish, big or small. It doesn't have to be a radio show. It can be that I'm going to finish my competent communicator manual. You can inspire people by your everyday actions and the communication that you have. And please don't perspire and worry about those big things that you think you really have to do. Tone it down and get to the point where you can become a great inspiration to all. Thank you.